Hello comrades, you're watching RedIvanAirsoft, and today we'll talk about uniforms and equipment of the 80th Separate Reconnaissance Company of 103rd Airborne Division during the Afghanistan War, to be more specific, 1986-1988. In this video, we'll discuss all elements of the uniform and equipment that could be seen on the pictures of the fighters between 1986 and 1988, and by the end of this video I will show you my setup, and we'll begin with hats. One of the most popular versions was Soviet bunny hat type 1974. This was the third generation of the bunny hats used in the Soviet army. And like in my case, visor cap from the Afganka uniform. Surprisingly, I also found one visor cap from the Afganka uniform in the camouflage color Butan, which was very rare during the Afghanistan war, and mostly during the Afghanistan war Butan was used by some pilots and some high-rank officers. In colder times, camel wool balaclavas, civilian winter hats and Ushanka hats were used. Looking ahead, not all of them of course, but most of the elements of the uniform and equipment that we'll discuss in this video, we have already discussed in my earlier video about Spetsnaz GRU. There we discussed them in details, and here we will only briefly mention them, so I recommend you to watch that video before continuing watching this video, and we'll begin with uniforms. Even in the late war, field uniform for the hot climate areas was pretty common, even with scouts. This is kind of the variation of the 1969 type uniform. And of course, legendary Afganka. By the way, about Afganka uniforms we also have a video on this channel, and I highly recommend that one too. Also, scouts used КЗС, костюм защитный сетчатый, which can be translated as protective mesh suit. Sometimes it is also called костюм защитный световой, which can be translated as light protective suit. The jacket from this suit you can see on me right now. КЗС was developed for protection from light emission during the nuclear explosion, but since it is camouflaged and it is meshy, it provides some masking features and also a good air circulation. That's why it was often used by the scouts during the war. Sometimes fighters were wearing the complete suit, sometimes they mixed it with other uniforms. Also, 1957 type masking coveralls in camouflage pattern called Berezka, also known as KLMK, were oftenly used. Very often in photographs Gorka suit comes across, and I managed to find pictures of both versions of Mabuta. Mabuta produced to the specification of 1973 and the variant produced to the specification of 1981. However, in general Mabuta was less common than Gorka, at least based on the pictures I saw. In winter they most often wore Gorka suit, over diving sweater, or civilian sweaters and track jackets, and also the jacket from the winter Afganka. Boots. First of all, so-called деревяшки boots were used. Also I found few pictures of облегченки boots or lightweight boots. I couldn't find pictures, but as I know, Soviet mountain boots were also used by the 80th Separate Reconnaissance Company. On this video you can also see сапоги. And now you see the pictures that demonstrates the variety of sneakers that were used by the fighters of the 80th Separate Reconnaissance Company. You can see red triangular, some Adidas or maybe Moscow or maybe some Chinese copy. And overall there are a lot of pictures that demonstrate sneakers. And there is an interesting fact about this. Some people, even Afghanistan veterans, in the comments to my previous video told me that the usage of the sneakers is nonsense. But some other veterans confirm the usage of sneakers. I would say that the personal experience is of course important, but the usage of the sneakers on and outside the military base is confirmed by the memories of veterans and a decent amount of pictures. So experience may vary based on the unit, year, specialization and even particular mission. Few words about the body armor. Scouts used helmets SSH-68 and the body armor vests 6B2. Despite the fact that during the late Afghanistan war 6B3 body armor vest was very common, and in some quantities 6B4 body armor vest and 6B2 3T could be seen, in 80th Separate Reconnaissance Company I only saw 6B2. And most pictures display fighters equipped with the body armor vest, while helmets could be seen oftenly, but not always. But there were some missions which scouts performed without body armor. That's why my personal setup was built without body armor. However, for better impression, I would recommend to have at least 6B2 body armor vest. And now let's talk about belts. There are two types of them: belt for officers made of brown leather, and also belts for privates with a star buckle. Few words about the load-bearing equipment, and most pictures feature this Chinese Chicom. This basically is a chest rig with 3 pockets for AK magazines and 2 smaller pockets on each side, 2 on the right and 2 on the left. The very last left pocket is rubberized for oiler. However, in each of the smaller pockets could be carried grenades, bandages, etc. The second place is taken by the self-crafted chest rig made of RD-54 pouches. It is basically made of 2 RD-54 mag pouches and 2 smaller grenade pouches. Also, Chicom type chest rigs made in Pakistan could be seen. Backpacks. Most of the time guys used RD-54 backpack with cut pouches. However, since RD-54 is pretty small, they usually add some additional pouches to this area or even put 2 RD-54s together. Also, some Soviet backpacks for tourists such as Yarov backpack, Abalakov backpack or Kolobok backpack could be seen. Canteens. Most of the time guys use 2 1.5 liter canteens made of polyethylene for the hot climate. Early versions would have metal chain in here, while the late versions had a plastic like this one, and they were usually secured to the backpack. However, I carry one of this on the belt because when you play airsoft it is kind of easier to reach. And also the second canteen that I use is this aluminum canteen KDK. But this canteen was carried inside the backpack since water in it heats up pretty fast in the Afghanistan climate. Few words about the additional equipment. First of all, rope flares, which are oftenly placed inside the Chicom mag pouches. Also NSP, bandage, which was oftenly secured inside of the AK stock, Smart tourniquet, and also Soviet IFAK, and miscellaneous Soviet portable radios, R107, R392, and others. Few words about the firearms. On most pictures, Soviet scouts are armed with AKS-74. Both early model with wooden handguard and later model with plum plastic handguard. And only on the few pictures I found AKMS. That's because only 1 or 2 members of the group would need suppressed AK. But since I already have AKMS and PBS-1 and I do not have AKS-74, I use AKMS for my kit. For some reason I could not find any pictures where scouts used AKS-74U. Machine guns were RPKS-74 and PKM. Also Dragunov sniper rifle. Additionally, scouts used GP-25 and rocket-propelled grenades such as Muha. Whoever was required used Makarov pistol, in our case it is YooAirsoft replica, and Stechkin or APS pistol. As a knife, in my case this is rubberized replica of the Bayonet 6H4, however some scout knives such as NR43 Cherry and NRS could be seen. And now let's see how it all looks together. I hope you liked this video, subscribe, put like, comment, and see you soon.